Oh my goodness. I am so excited to be here with all of you live from the Pacific Northwest over here in the USA. I'm really excited when Nish pitched to me the event, the amazing community event that y'all were doing over there. I knew I wanted to try to be part of it. So I'm up here late, almost 10 p.m. here, but I'm really, really excited for all the amazing stuff that we have to offer coming from the .NET team and the Xamarin team. I'm really excited by that amazing introduction from Swami and the amazing team behind this event. I'm super humbled and super honored to be here with all of you today. And I hope I have some really awesome stuff to share with all of you. Everyone behind the scenes here is really making this happen. So give them a big applause in the YouTube chat. Of course, we'll be monitoring it as well. Really excited, and a big thank you to everyone making this happen. So I'm James Montemagno. I'm a principal lead program manager for the .NET community team over at Microsoft. I work side by side Nish and Neil, who you'll see later, giving an awesome, spectacular presentation. Everyone's going to give an awesome, spectacular presentation. And you know, a lot of my years have been focused on Xamarin mobile development, and a lot has happened. So I have exciting demos. I have some exciting stuff to talk about going into the future with .NET 5 and .NET 6. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into it here. So, you know, at Xamarin and on the .NET team, we've really always wanted to delight developers. Our goal and mission has always been able to build beautiful native cross-platform apps for any platform, specifically iOS, Android, and Windows, but more, and share all of your C# and .NET logic. And what I've loved is that over the years, we've expanded that, and we've grown the capabilities of what you can do as a developer, enabling you to share more code, be more productive, and have beautiful native applications. So not only can you share your core business logic with your .NET applications, whether it's desktop or mobile or web, but specifically for iOS, Android, and Windows and Mac, we have cross-platform native APIs in Xamarin Essentials, so you can access platform features like geolocation, connectivity, accelerometers, and a whole lot more. Over 80 different APIs built into that single library for you. Additionally, we have Xamarin Forms, which is our most popular cross-platform UI framework from the .NET team. It enables you to build beautiful cross-platform native applications from a single shared C# and XAML code base, and enables you to be super productive in both Visual Studio and Visual Studio for Mac. So I love this story because it just continues to evolve over the years. And that's really what I want to show you today. So maybe you're a developer that looked at Xamarin years ago, or maybe you're still using Xamarin today, which is awesome. So am I. It's been 9 years and I love every minute of it. Hopefully there's something brand new. I sort of try to reintroduce the new Xamarin before I go into the future of what we're doing next year. And the thing is, we've built this amazing framework, but we see an amazing community flourish around it. Not only from amazing component vendors like Syncfusion, DevExpress, Telerik, and more, but also the amazing community, all of you, building libraries, publishing NuGet packages, doing events just like this, making the .NET community and Xamarin community flourish. And what's great as a developer, when you want to go in and start building applications, you have all of this amazing stuff that you can take advantage of. So I think it's absolutely fantastic just to really see the Xamarin and .NET community flourish over these years. Now, we've really focused on shrinking and making it faster to get started with Xamarin more than ever. In fact, between Visual Studio 2017 and 2019, we've shrunk by 1/3 or 2/3 actually, the installation time to get started with Xamarin. And it's now 2 times faster to install, which is ever so important when you want to get started getting development done. But more importantly, we've really focused on developer productivity. We've built in tons of amazing features being part of Microsoft, leveraging Visual Studio, .NET, collaborating with the Windows team to help developers code faster with things like IntelliCode and advanced IntelliSense. Also, deeper integration into third-party libraries with source links, so you can actually debug into third-party libraries. But also, we've listened to our developers and we said, what are your frustrations? What are the things that you want us to be better at? So we've basically optimized our build and deployment times. We've reduced up to 50% our build, increment, and deploy size times when building Android and iOS applications. We've also listened and said, how do we help make your applications start faster? That was one of the things that developers always are worried about. We introduced ahead of time compilation startup tracing, and introduced app bundle support, so you can reduce your not only startup time by 60%, but your final Android application size by up to 60%. I actually just released one of my latest applications, Island Tracker, which is a mobile application for Animal Crossing for the Nintendo Switch. And by using startup tracing, I shaved a few seconds off my startup time, and I shrunk my app size by 50%, which was absolutely amazing doing app bundles. But more importantly, we want to help developers iterate faster. So whether you're developing inside of your iOS, Android project, or going cross-platform with Xamarin Forms, we want the IDE to help you develop faster. So we've introduced a whole bunch of different pieces of technology to really help you be really productive. So I didn't want to have too many slides in the beginning. I just want to go into a demo. This is a brand new demo that I just came up with myself. I'm really excited about it. So what I'm going to do over here is just boot up Visual Studio. And I'm just going to create a brand new project. So here we go. Now there's a bunch of different templates in here. Specifically, mobile app is the one for Xamarin Forms. And I'm going to say create. Now we have some brand new templates in here, and these are using our brand new Xamarin Forms shell technology, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But for this, I'm just going to do a blank application and add Windows onto here. I find that I often develop on Windows, so I like to have sort of a Windows project to iterate fast on. So I don't have to worry about iOS or Android emulators or simulators, but I'm just going to go ahead and start this up here. So this is going to scaffold out my project. And if you've never done this before for a Xamarin project, well, this is going to give you specifically a few different projects. I have my shared code, my Android app, iOS, and Windows project. And this is based on Xamarin Forms, and it has Xamarin Essentials built right in. And this is nice because I can write all of my shared code directly into this project. So here I have my app file, I have my main page, and when I need to write platform-specific code, I can do that inside my Android, iOS, or Windows project. So here's my main page. We have a brand new template that helps developers get started faster. So it gives you some information of how to use some different colors and labels and formatting of text. So I'm just going to launch it. And Windows is the startup project. So it's just going to deploy a Windows application directly on my desktop. So that's going to go through just a normal Windows build process over here and deploy onto my machine. So here we go. And I have this beautiful welcome to Xamarin Forms. And it says that hot reload is enabled here. So that's really cool. This is a brand new feature we're releasing in the latest Visual Studio preview, which is right here. And what that allows me to do is come into my XAML that we see here. So we see this frame, this blue frame. I can just come in and get rich IntelliSense, make changes. I don't even have to hit save. It just updates automatically for me. If I have a typo, I get a little squiggle and tells me that that's invalid. In fact, I get a little error down here at the bottom. So once I say orange, or I like to do maybe like hot pink is one of my favorites here. And boom, I'm like ready to go. I can come in and actually add additional elements in here. So here's an entry box, which is nice. And the cool part about this hot reload is it's the second generation of hot reload. And it does a diffing. So if I say hello .NET Dev Summit, what's nice here is, let's say I want to change this over to orange again. Notice that it didn't refresh the whole page. It only modified that background color. It still left it all right here, which helps me be really productive. So it doesn't change the state of my application. It saves that state, which is really, really awesome. And I can change anything. In fact, sometimes we have really big XAML files. So I love this visual tree over here on the left-hand side. Let me zoom in here. This shows me every part of my application. In fact, you can see them basically mirrored: frame, entry, label. But sometimes it's hard to remember, I'm over here, where's this entry? Where is it at? You can just click on this button and it will highlight the XAML for you automatically. So no matter where you're at. In fact, this is very similar if you're doing traditional UWP or WPF, because we reuse all that great technology. Now, let's say we want to add a data binding in here. maybe in the code behind, this is a brand new project. So we'll just sort of do a binding context here, and we'll set it equal to this, and nothing fancy. But let's go ahead and do like a public string. We'll say hello, and we'll do a get set, and we'll say hello .NET Dev Summit here. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and redeploy this here. Okay, so just made some changes in my code behind. Of course, I need to put a semicolon there and hit debug again. So this again will just sort of, it's already built once, so it'll be a little bit faster, this deploy around. But I changed some, C# code, so I'm going to redeploy that here and just go ahead and, oh, it got mad at me here. What did it get mad at me at? Something. Let's go ahead and try to debug it here one more time. There we go. I'm just going to go ahead and snap this over here and bring this up. So what's nice here is that I can now start using that data binding. So I'm going to say binding, and I'm going to say hello. Now, a few things happened, which is very fascinating. I obviously mistypoed this, but on purpose, okay? Because this hello should be 2 L's. But we have a brand new analyzer. You can see right here, look at this. It's telling me that there's an error inside of my XAML, and it'll tell me that hello is not spelled correctly down here in this error message. Now, as soon as I go ahead and save that here, I can go ahead and look at my XAML binding failures and close that out, and I don't get any anymore. So if you are coming in and migrating projects, you can see all of your different errors or warnings that are happening, which is really cool. So that's really nice. But check this out. So I'm going to stop debugging, and I'm just going to set the Android project as my startup over here. And I'm just going to hit debug. I didn't change anything, right? I already have my new orange color. I have my hello binding in here. I start up my brand new Android emulator, which we've optimized to work great with Hyper-V on Windows machines, or ARM, or also Intel, but also AMD processors. And of course, it'll work great on a Mac. So over here, it's going to package up that Android application. That's pretty cool. It's doing a bunch of nice stuff here. There we go. Cool, cool, cool. It's going to build this. So it's building up an entire Android package for me, and it's going to deploy it. So this will take, a second or two to deploy, but here it is. And what I love about this is that I'm going to get all the changes I just made over there. But if I come in, I can see that I actually have the same exact, look at this, same exact visual tree, the same tools from Windows over on Android. I get the same thing. So if I come in and I say hello, I can now change this back over to pink, right? And it changes and updates for me automatically, which is really nice. Now I'm getting all that great XAML IntelliSense. I'm getting the same things. In fact, if I go over here and I mistypo this, I can still look at my XAML bindings and I can see them here. The same tooling, the same thing works. It's so nice. It's nice to see everything really work together super well. So one thing that's nice though is that we also not only have the ability to change XAML, but if I need to go into my Android project, like really into it and change some things in here, I can do that. So for example, there's this sort of, this pinkish, this sort of, let me go over here and sort of look at it. Oh, the emulator, I can't zoom in on, but sort of this pinkish, little thing right here. If I wanted to, I could come in and, see that and change the accent color here. And maybe I just want that to be black for some reason. So I get all these great rich IntelliSense in here. Now this is inside of the Android application. So I'd have to usually stop, do a bunch of changes, but we've also implemented basically activity restart to apply Android resources. So I can go up into the toolbar and just hit that button. And what this does is it actually like looks for a diff in the Android application, and then it redeploys it. So now when I have this hover, it's black now. Awesome, right? I'm in my XAML, I'm in my Android project. I get this great tooling, rich IntelliSense, and everything works the same. All right, last thing, let's get out of this Android thing. Gone. All right, my Android emulator is gone. Last piece of the puzzle, my iPhone, sitting here, right? So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna set my iOS project as the startup. And what we can see up top, up here, right here, it says local device. It's awesome. There's a new piece of technology that's available today. It's instable, everything's there. It's a hot restart. It's a new type of deployment technology that we started rolling out for iOS that lets you to quick deploy to a physical device. So this is cool. I'm going to go ahead and do this here. It's a brand new project. Now it says hot restart. It's ready to go. What I'm going to do is it's not even plugged in. It's not, well, I just unplugged it. What am I doing? It's late. It's 10 o'clock. I'm going to plug in to my iPhone. I'm going to plug this into my computer, into my Windows machine here, into my desktop, into my Windows machine. Right? Plug it in there. Bump, bump, bump. All right, I'm going to go ahead and unlock my device. And what I'm going to do here, see it? It's just connected. I'm going to say next. And it's going to say, hey, we found your iPhone. Do you want to deploy to that? Of course I do. That sounds great. So I've logged in with my Apple developer account, and I'm going to select my personal team. This is my account. I pay for this personally. And what it's going to do is it's going to communicate to Apple right now. It's going to download and synchronize how I'm able to deploy and do everything to my device, and basically enable me to deploy to my iOS device from my Windows machine here. And I'm going to say finish. Now, it's not an emulator, it's not a simulator, it's my machine. So I'm going to go ahead and reflect it here. I'm going to mirror my device. So I'm going to go ahead and use this little application I call Reflector. I'm going to enter a code. There we go. And what you're going to see is my physical iOS device here, right here. See, I'm doing it. See it? It's right there. So now what's happening is inside of Visual Studio, it's actually compiling up a special build, a developer build of my application. And it's going to say, please launch the app. So I'm going to launch it here. Whoa, check this out. I'm launching it right here. Boom, boom, boom. All the changes, everything I have. I get the visual tree, same exact thing. I can come over here and I can change that back to orange. I get the same hot reload experience. Amazing. Now, you may have noticed that it took a little bit of time to package up that application over here. But with hot restart, it enables you to hot restart your application. So check this out. Let's go ahead, just simply come in and make a hello 2, right? Now notice here that Visual Studio is telling me that I need to restart my application because I made code changes. Well, there's a little restart button here, just like I did for Android when I made changes in the actual project. I'm going to go ahead and hit the restart button. It's going to save my files. It's going to do a diff of my application, and then it's going to redeploy it to the device. Now, notice here, that took what, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds to do. And now my application is ready to go. In fact, if I come over and I make a change over here and I say, let's get rid of this, get rid of this code change. It's a big code change over here. I'm going to say binding to hello 2. Get the same thing right here. All that rich IntelliSense, all that great data binding, all that hot restarting, all that stuff that you know and love. It's all built right in, like from end to end. Like how amazing is it? I would never thought 9 years ago when I started my journey with Xamarin that all of this seamless tooling integration works so well together to help you be super productive. And that's what we want to help you do. All right, so let me go ahead and tear some of this down here, because I don't know if you weren't impressed and you aren't saying that was the most amazing thing in the entire world, then I don't know. That's what hopefully you enjoyed it. So let me go ahead and stop closing this over here. Let's go back to some slides over here. Okay, here we go. Cool. So that's what I like to call sort of the new Xamarin experience, right? It enables you to be super productive and for you to get off the ground running super quick, whether you're developing on Windows, Android, iOS, no matter what you got, you're good to go. Now, what's really cool about Hot Restart is that it dramatically reduces all of those build times, right? So here's a cool graph with and without Hot Restart. Initial builds down. This is one of our large applications that we use, this Hotel 360 application, from 3 minutes to 22 seconds. The initial deploy does take a little bit bigger because we're deploying a big package that we're able to redeploy in. But what I want you to note here is the incremental build. 37 seconds down to under 3. You saw how fast it was, right? It's crazy. Same with incremental deploy. So down 50%. Now we're starting this. It's available today for iOS on Windows. And our plan here, the development team behind this, is going to then bring it to Android on Mac and Windows. Even though Android's pretty quick, we think it can be faster because why not? And then iOS on a Mac too, and really build it into sort of the F5 experience like you saw today, which is really nice. Now, Maddie, who's one of my amazing PM counterparts, she's the PM of Hot Reload, Hot Restart, all the awesome stuff that you just saw. I had nothing to do with it. I just hang out and on meetings all day on Teams. But Maddie, she's amazing. And she has basically helped build this up with the development team and the developers behind it. And we announced Hot Restart and Hot Reload for Xamarin Forms just about a year ago. And since then, we've added all these features. We collaborated with the Windows team. We've packed in all this great functionality. And people on Twitter simply loving it. So it's right there. Now, I don't have necessarily details. Vishal is asking when it's coming. I am reading the YouTube comments. Don't you worry. It's there. And yes, Rakdesa, everything you just saw is available today. The only feature I showed you, one feature, which was the Windows Hot Reload part, that's in preview. That's in the preview Visual Studio. Everything else available today in stable, which is there. Just cool. Everything's there. So I'm not showing you magical bits and things like that, but it's all there. All right, let's talk about Xamarin Forms. I just showed you sort of the productivity that we're building in. And a lot of those features are also really helpful for non-Xamarin Forms development. Like if you were doing traditional iOS and Android, that sort of hot or that quick reloading of Android activities is also really helpful. But Xamarin Forms has really been our focus because developers love it to be able to build cross-platform native user interface. And you know, we've had an amazing year in Xamarin Forms. We first introduced Xamarin Forms Shell with Xamarin Forms 4.0. And it's a way of really structuring and streamlining your entire application. So instead of having to string along tabbed page, flyout pages, it does it all for you in one nice syntax. It enables you to do things like this in just a few lines of code, have nice flyouts, animations, gradients, all built in. We also the development team brought visual and material design to iOS and streamlined Android and really built that out, which is really, really cool. So that enables you to do things like on iOS, have a very similar look and feel to your Android application, which is really spectacular. So all of your buttons, all of your labels, everything's going to act and look exactly the same on iOS or Android, which is helpful when you're building an application. You want it to look relatively, similar to not have to test multiple times. And then finally, Collection View, which is the evolution of List View. It enables grids, custom layouts. It's super performant, empty, headers, footers. It has optimized caching in it. It enables you to do all sorts of beautiful things and build beautiful applications. I wanted to take some time just to really talk about these features just a little bit more because our community, all of you have built amazing things with them. So this is Shell, right? Shell here is a simple way of building tabs, top, bottom, flyout, in very simple syntax. It does automatic URL navigation for you. You can pass parameters to it. And here, for example, is a beautiful news application that looks like Microsoft News, which is completely open source, this implementation of it. Over here, we have an awesome sort of look and feel of the collection view, looking at sort of like a WhatsApp type of messaging application. And this enables you, again, to do custom data templates, headers, footers, inline, everything that you would expect. Really cool. And these are all real apps. These are apps that people built with Xamarin that you're seeing on here. And you'll see the links down at the bottom to actually go to their GitHub so you can see these yourself. Carousel View is also an iteration of Collection View, but it enables you to swipe left and right through collections of data, which is cool. So if you're over here, this is a burger application, you can swipe left and right on it. And they're even using the Collection View to show that grid there. Swipe View also is really, really neat. This enables you to swipe things left, right, up and down, everywhere, iOS, Android, Windows, you name it. You can customize anything that's inside those swipe items. So they can be the default implemented ones or your own custom ones. Super great. You can use them in anything. Collection views, just a stack layout, anything at all. It's really, really nice. And then also Expander. This is built right into Xamarin Forms. You can collapse and expand any of your content, which is nice for something just like this. When you're looking to make a shopping list, you want to add those on. You can add all these animations, which are built into Xamarin Forms too. One really fascinating thing that the community's been pushing really hard is this sort of building declarative user interface with C# or F#. So recently, in one of the most recent releases of Xamarin Forms, Vincent from the community, he did this amazing pull request to streamline what it looks like to do data bindings, style, do margins and padding and everything inside of a C# UI markup. So if you're interested in something like that, there's amazing new markup support that you can do to build, of course, beautiful UIs, which is great. So if you're not used to XAML and you like that code first approach, it's built right in. One of the most hottest things in the entire world that I simply love is the brand new drawing API built into Xamarin Forms. Native drawing, no dependencies. This enables you to do lines, rectangles, polygons, polyfills, paths, image clips. Here we're doing an ellipse geometry, cutting out a circle of an image. And what you see here, this entire sort of frame is this big data path that is being cut out, this background here. You can put SVGs in there. You can do anything. It's really, really neat. And it's fully native custom drawing. I just did a few shows with my good friend Javier, who implemented this API from the Xamarin Forms team. It's really awesome. So if you're really looking to do some custom work, it's all built in for you natively. Finally, of course, dark theme, light theme. It's now built in right into Xamarin Forms. Of course, Xamarin Forms will try to do the right thing for you. But here on this setter, you can see that on any property, any value, I can say on dark, use this color, on light, use this color. There's a bunch of nice things built in right for you, which is very, very cool. This is a great example of seeing that work in real time, that app theme API. Finally, I love not only stuff built into Xamarin Forms, but the amazing things the communities are building. This is an awesome plugin that you can get called Shared Transitions. You can see the animation zoom back and forth. This one here is neomorphism controls to get that cool pop out that you might want to see, which is really nice. Pancake view, allows you to get rounded corners, gradients, everything that you could possibly want inside of everything. So what you're seeing here, all these rounded corners up and down, left and right. Pancake view is great. And then also Sharpnado, which is this awesome, spectacular, really, really toolkit to kind of build anything, custom tabs, these really nice card views and frames and animations built right in. These are all real things that you can just go and grab and build today. Now, everything I just showed you is out now. Xamarin Forms 4.7 launched 6-7 weeks ago. We launch every single 6 weeks. A new version, 4.8 just came out. 4.9 is next, and 5.0 in November, which also coincides with our .NET conference, which is happening as well. So tune into that, which is really, really nice. That's an all-day, 3-day event. And I'll keep going and going and going. And in fact, some of the new features in that 4.9 and 5.0 will be some new support for gradient brushes throughout every single control and background color. So here we have gradient backgrounds and opacities and everything you want, even on the button here for confirm payment, all will be built right in. We also have support for a new custom tab view. This is really nice. It's a requested feature to be able to do basically custom buttons like you see here on the tabs, but also the ability to put tabs anywhere. So yes, they're on the bottom. Maybe you want them on the top, but maybe you want them in the center of your screen or more like a segmented control. You can do that as well. And finally, one thing, because why not, combine a few different pieces of technology. You can actually do a full app bar and put it absolutely anywhere. For years, it's been built directly into Xamarin Forms. It's now decoupled, and here's a cool app bar with a background GIF because, I don't know, why not? So it's there. No. Now, our mission, our journey with Xamarin has always been to enable you to build these beautiful, fast, native applications, be more productive so you can write less code, have more time, and really integrate into this thriving ecosystem. Things built into the framework, but also this amazing community of libraries that you can go get, whether it's from .NET and NuGet or Xamarin specific. But, as we necessarily look into the future of how .NET is evolving with .NET 5 and .NET 6 next year, we're of course looking to say, how are we evolving mobile development and desktop development here at Microsoft? And how are we going to enable all of you, our developers, to build more applications faster for more devices and share more code? And this is really our journey into one.NET. So traditionally, we've always talked about that .NET is your platform to build for anything. So whether you want to build desktop, web, mobile, gaming applications, IoT, .NET is always that base for you. And there's libraries and frameworks and runtimes that help you get there. And of course, amazing tooling like Visual Studio, VS Code, VS for Mac, or even the command line. And for years, the team has really iterated on how you share code, how the infrastructure is more shared between the different platforms. We really think a journey to a singular .NET will really aid developers. They don't have to learn multiple things. It's a single .NET. They know exactly where they want to go. So what we look at today, our journey here for our vision, is that today we have .NET Framework, which is 4.8. It's going to be 4.8, remain 4.8. We have .NET Core, and then of course we have Xamarin and Mono runtimes that are out there. For a new developer coming in, it's kind of confusing. They got a bunch of stuff to learn. They got, what are these frameworks, this version, that framework. What the team, the .NET runtime team and all the framework teams are saying is, what if we just kind of make it .NET? One single SDK, one unified tool chain, one base class library. We'll have cross-platform native user interface across mobile and desktop, and we'll have cross-platform web user interface as well. So you can create web applications, progressive web applications, WebAssembly offline applications on the desktop if you're a web developer. We'll continue our improvements in speed, size, diagnostics, and tooling, but just simply it's .NET. That's what it is. And with that, we are evolving Xamarin and Xamarin Forms into the next generation of cross-platform development. And we call it .NET MAUI, the .NET Multi-Platform App UI, .NET MAUI. And what's great about this is that it is the evolution. It's all of the amazing things that I just showed you, but re-architected from not necessarily the ground up necessarily, but basically taking all of our learnings, all of our optimizations, and removing years of legacy to give you a fast, streamlined, small, and super productive way to build iOS, Android, Windows, and macOS applications. .NET MAUI will give you that cross-platform native UI. It will give you a single project, a single code base. You can deploy to multiple devices, whether it's mobile or desktop. Again, it's an evolution of Xamarin Forms. So you can migrate your existing applications today that you're building. And this will be targeting .NET 6. So .NET 5 will come out this fall. In fact, there's previews available today. And usually when a version of .NET comes out, the next preview comes out, and that's when previews will come out. So we're going to target a wide general availability with .NET 6, but previews around the end of the year. And I figured what I would do is show you what this looks like. And these are really exclusive bits. So I ahead of time, just to make sure I had enough time, I recorded a video because I didn't want to go between machines. But over here, I actually just have my Mac machine. And what's cool about this is that I'm actually starting right in the command line and right inside of the terminal, basically. And what I'm going to do over here is I'm just going to type in .NET New MAUI. And this is sort of our command line interface that will create our iOS, Android project and a brand new solution. I'm going to use common tooling like NuGet Restore to restore my NuGets here. And then I have the ability to, run the application, but I'm actually going to open up VS Code. I'm going to say code dot. And what this will do is open up VS Code as my lightweight code editor. And what I'll see is all of my .NET MAUI files. And in fact, we have just a single C# file. This is an MVU, model view update type of application. I have a little integer that I'll increment, and I have a label here. I have a button that I can tap on and increase that value every single time. It's a nice declarative user interface. I have a VStack over here. I have a spacer, so it'll space out objects correctly for me with my user interface. And what I'm going to do is simply hit debug, kind of like I did earlier. But here from inside of VS Code, I'm on a Mac, so it's going to show me all of my iOS simulators. So I'm going to go ahead and pick one here. And now it's going to compile my application right here, of course, on my Mac here. And then it's going to deploy my brand new .NET MAUI application over to my iOS simulator. So let me go ahead and bring that up. Here we go. And we see it install and launch. Now, this is kind of similar to what I showed you earlier. I created a new project, did a thing. But here, the difference is that I've built this entire UI with declarative UI, so just C#. But what's nice is that with .NET MAUI, we have hot reload built in not only to XAML, but also C# code. So for example, here, what I'm able to do is maybe let's say align this text different. It's kind of weird. It's in its left. So maybe what I can do is just say center here. I don't hit save. I don't have to do anything. It automatically keeps my state of 8. I've tapped 8 times, and I can continue to increment here, which I think is really, really neat. I can go ahead and change other things. So if I want to change the color to, I like to use pink a lot, even though it's a little hard to see, but it's all right here. I can change it back to black, which is nice over here. And then what I'm able to do is also change a bunch of the other code in this project. Like maybe I want to decrement this, so minus minus. I literally just change how the app works, and I say minus minus. And for good measure, I'll just go ahead and say minus because that will look a little bit nicer because I'm actually decrementing it. And now I have a full application written directly, all with declarative user interface inside of VS Code. And I could then open that in VS for Mac if I wanted to, or anywhere else I wanted to, which is really nice. And we're giving developers that capability to how they want to develop and the tools they want to use. Now, that being said, we still have a huge investment in XAML, Visual Studio. And in fact, with .NET MAUI, we're really iterating to say what that looks like. So let me show you what this looks like over here on Windows. So I'm going to create a brand new .NET MAUI application, similar to like I created a mobile application earlier. Let me bring that up. Now here I have a label, I have a button, it's all XAML. It's kind of similar to what I showed you earlier. But it has common data bindings. I have string format inside of here. So I get all that nice stuff that I just showed you, right? It's really, really nice. So everything that I know and love, the IntelliSense, the hot reloading capabilities, everything is built into the single XAML file. So if you already love XAML, love data bindings, hey, we got your back. We're right there for you. Now, I think what's cool here is that I can directly deploy, just like I showed you earlier, to Windows. And this is going to help you just, again, get off the ground running, deploy, get your application running. And we have a very similar look and feel to an application running .NET MAUI. I can increment it, can do everything that I did earlier, resize it because it's a Windows application, use hot reload, everything that you know and love. Now, at the same time, over here, what I'm able to do is not only deploy, just to my Windows device, but I could deploy to any of my different devices that I have plugged in. So if I plug in an Android device or my iPhone plugged into it, I can, of course, deploy there too. So let me go ahead and do that here. Here in the dropdown, I actually have my iPhone plugged in. I was doing this video for Scott, so it's Scott's iPhone. But over here, I just set it as my startup. I hit deploy. And what this is going to do is very similar to what I showed you earlier. It has that same hot restart technology. And it's going to go ahead and deploy that .NET MAUI application directly on to my iOS device. So whether I'm on VS Code, whether I'm on Visual Studio on Mac, whether I'm on Visual Studio here, whether I'm using XAML, whether I'm using declarative UI, you get all that great productivity that you know and love already. Now we're also at the same time not only building all that sort of productivity that you love in, but we're streamlining what the project system looks like. I showed you earlier, we had like 4 different projects. With .NET MAUI, a singular project. This is really nice. It brings together all of the old complicated stuff and simplifies it. Here I have resources and I have fonts and images. I can add everything into here, and .NET MAUI, when it's compiled, will figure out how to do the fonts, how to automatically resize all of your images for you, and make sure that they compiled up automatically for iOS, Android, Windows, or Mac. Just add it once. You don't have to add it to a bunch of different places. It's all right there, which is really, really cool. Now, what I also like is that I have this platform folder. This is what it will enable me to specify what platforms I want to deploy to, and also write platform-specific code in iOS, Android, Windows, or Mac. So here I can write an Android for the Bluetooth adapter, iOS, and I can open up those projects and files. I don't have to hop around into different projects, different startups. I just say, what do I want to deploy to? What am I writing? And it's all in one single file for me, which is really, really nice. Now, what this also means with .NET MAUI is that we're streamlining a lot of different development. I talked about that you can come in, create a single project. This is what this looks like here. I have .NET, which will be 5 or 6 in the future here. It'll be system MAUI, system device, which will be Xamarin Essentials. I can deploy to my iOS, Android, or Windows devices or simulators. I can write my custom code right here, and additionally, my platform code. And I know here, Rakdesa is asking about custom renders, and that's what you can put directly in your platform code. But more importantly, custom renderers and how renderers work are being built from the ground up. So you only have to write a few lines of code to access native capabilities instead of a bunch of different code. They've re-architected the rendering pipeline. It's super awesome as well. So it's really streamlined. I don't have any slides or demos of that today, but they basically think of it like, hey, I had a bunch of custom renderers. You can most likely get rid of a lot because there's a lot in Xamarin Forms, but also things are just sort of built in. System MAUI, evolution of Xamarin Forms. System devices, evolution of Xamarin Essentials. Brand new multi-platform app UI in .NET New MAUI. Additionally, you'll sort of see some other changes. You'll see Xamarin iOS will just be .NET for iOS and .NET for Android. Now, in those instances, nothing will change. If you already have existing projects, everything's good. You can do .NET New iOS, .NET New Android. It's all good. We're really looking at MAUI, and .NET MAUI is the way of going forward. And of course, we'll have migrations as well. What's nice here is you can go already to the GitHub page, github.com/.net/MAUI, and see exactly how everything is coming along. You can look at the platform differences of what's supported, what's not supported, and take a look and give feedback on what you would like to see. Now, that being said, you shouldn't just wait for .NET MAUI. If you want to build a mobile app, get started with Xamarin Forms today, and we'll have tools to migrate your application going forward, which is awesome. And here's what the timeline looks like. .NET 5 is set to release this fall in November 2020. And how .NET works is every 2 years is an LTS, long-term support release. So .NET Core 3.1 last year was the LTS, and .NET 6 next year, when .NET MAUI launches, will be the next LTS support. And that's when you can see that coming out. Of course, like I said, you should still go off, create amazing Xamarin applications, and get ready for .NET MAUI. It should be a relatively seamless transition. I just started a new application the other day, so I'm pretty excited on that. And with that, thank you so much. You can go to Xamarin.com to find out everything you need. And I don't know, Nish, if I have any questions in the chat. I tried to answer a few while I came in there.
Hey, thanks so much, James. It's awesome. So I'm going to put in some questions from YouTube.
Sure.
Let's add something.
Yeah, lots of good love in there. Lots of people excited. So
there you go. Hi, is it possible to set up the Xamarin dev environment on an Azure VM, exploring this for a specific requirement?
It's a good question. Absolutely. We've done it before. You know, I think with the brand new like Windows UWP hot reload, that'll make you super productive. You know, the problem that you'll have with like Android is like the Android emulator. So like the nested virtualization, that's not a Xamarin thing, that's like an Android thing. That's sort of a problem. But I have experimented with different pieces of technology that will like forward your USB ports to a VM in the cloud. So you can plug your Android device into your like Windows machine or Mac machine, and then it will like forward it over. So that's kind of a cool way of doing it. It may not be the best experience, but it's something you could do. Yeah. And you could just go in, install Visual Studio. And a lot of developers do that today, and they just, you know, do a lot of Windows development. And then when they're ready to do local iOS and Android, they pull it down.
Cool. So I think you answered this already. When is Hot Restart coming to VS for Mac?
I don't have a timeline for it necessarily. It's just in the roadmap. Of course, you can plug in your iOS device and deploy it. It won't be, you know, necessarily as hot and fast necessarily, but you can still do it today. If you're on a Mac though, for iOS, you know, simulators are great. Really get you off the ground running fast. So the team is working on it, and you know, it'll come when it comes.
So since we are PMs, I think we should take this as a feedback. So there's another question. What will be your suggestions for TDD in Xamarin and MAUI? Any insights and pointers will be of great help.
People test their apps? That's a great question. Test-driven development. We work really close with the community. So whether you're using NUnit or XUnit or MS Test, those are great frameworks. Of course, Xamarin UI Test would still be supported as well for iOS and Android, or you can use other testing frameworks as well. There, just whatever you enjoy. I kind of enjoy XUnit. We use XUnit a lot with Xamarin Essentials. So you can definitely give that a peek. Yeah.
Another question. Are custom renders gone?
I haven't written a custom render in like 3 years. So to me, they're gone forever. But no, you can still do them. You can extend, of course. And they, like I said, they've re-architected it. So it should be easier than ever.
Perfect. For hot deploy, do we still need physical Mac?
Not for development, no. You will need an Apple developer account, a paid one, just the normal $99 one there, and obviously an iOS device. That's only for development. You can't distribute the app. You can't get the app, you know, onto different devices or deploy it. There are some limitations as well if you're using like maybe like your Apple Watch sensors or something like that and connecting. But for most use cases, it'll just work. But yeah, you can just do it. I don't even have a Mac. I don't have one here. So yes.
Perfect. So with this .NET MAUI, will this provide the capability to migrate the existing Xamarin Forms project to the new platform, .NET MAUI?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so the idea here that the team has is that there's this tool called TryConvert. This was really popular converting WPF and WinForms apps from .NET Framework to .NET Core. And the idea is to extend that .NET convert to convert Xamarin Forms over to .NET MAUI. And it'll do its best. There might be, you know, guides of how to do it, but that will be like the try. No magical conversion is 100%, but it'll do its best.
Cool. Next question, the usual one, the performance. Everyone loves performance. So how is the performance for .NET MAUI compared with Forms?
Better. Everything's better. And in fact, if you haven't played around with Xamarin Forms for a while, definitely give, you know, with Xamarin Forms and with a lot of Xamarin projects, things are off by default. So you have to go turn on startup tracing. You have to turn on the ahead of time compilation. You have to turn on app bundles. With .NET MAUI, all of the optimizations will be on by default. That's the difference. You know what I mean? So when you go and you're doing everything, a lot of that stuff will be on by default, and the team will continue to iterate on that.
Perfect. Another question, where is the app delegate class and main activity?
Hidden. They're in there. So this is actually a great question. So when let's say you have a web API and a Swagger definition, you can tell Visual Studio to generate all your classes for you. And what it does is it shoves it into like a bin in OBJ file. It's very similar. So it's hidden. You can just say, show me all files, and you would see it there. Same with your info plist and all those files. They're just sort of hidden for you so you can stay focused. Because most developers don't have to modify a lot of logic there at all.
Perfect.
Yep.
Any updates on the Bluetooth BLE API, UWP for authorization mechanisms?
Different team. I would probably, that's a good question for the Windows team specifically. We build on top of all of their tech. However, Bluetooth is something we're looking for into for Xamarin Essentials. But there's also this amazing library called Shiny. I'll put a link randomly in the chat after we get off here, and it has a bunch of Bluetooth APIs built in.
Cool. How easy or difficult is to migrate to MAUI if my apps are built with MVVM frameworks like Prism or MVVM Cross?
I don't think we're at that point to know, to be honest with you. If I'm just being brutally honest with you, we're not quite at that point. I don't think we know necessarily how smooth the try-convert tool will be. Just because, .NET MAUI is still in rapid development, right? There's you can't even go test it. Like, it's only internal builds that we have. So it is things that we work very close with the Prism and MVVM Cross teams. And the nice thing about coming out in .NET 6 is that we sort of have a longer transition time. Yeah.
Will Xamarin gets connect with any database or big data? I think the question is, can it connect with the databases like big data maybe?
Yeah, totally. I mean, already we're actually really working super close with the Entity Framework team to really help and optimize that. I have a bunch of super secret projects that are happening at Microsoft for data specifically. So I'm really excited about some of those initiatives going into next year. Yeah.
Okay. I think this is just a follow-up to the earlier performance in terms of estimates. And this is something which is hard to always say because it depends, right?
105 billion times faster. I don't know, faster. That's a good question. And Sky's probably really wanting numbers. And, again, there's a few different, estimates. What does performance mean? Is that CPU cycle? Is that memory? Is that startup time? Everybody thinks of performance difference. And in fact, a lot of times what we hear is that developers they think of performance as startup time. And like I said, that startup tracing and ahead of time startup tracing can reduce your startup time by up to 70 or 80%. So if you're looking for some stuff already that you can use, it's already out there, and that stuff will just be built in. Yeah.
Did Shell support any built-in notification badges?
Not right now, but there is a pull request. I don't know if it'll land in 4.9 or 5.0. For Xamarin Forms, but there is a pull request that you can follow on GitHub that already has it there, and you can pull down NuGets from the GitHub pull request. I do that all the time to test it, so give that a look. It's open source. Yeah.
Cool. How do we handle the permissions in MAUI?
Same to how you would do them in Xamarin Forms today. It's built into Xamarin Essentials. Has 100% cross-platform permissions built right in for iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac.
How will the handling of Android permissions as required to be declared inside manifest of Android?
Exactly how they're done today. So in today's world, you can declare those permissions with assembly export attributes. So you can do those. But again, you can always get to those files and add them manually yourself. But also, similar, there'll most likely be some tooling. I don't know if it's final to have some UI to do it.
What will be the future of the Mono framework?
Yeah, Mono framework's still open source. It goes strong. A lot of Mono framework is supported on a plethora of platforms that are out there today. So it's not going anywhere. And in fact, a lot of the Mono project has leveraged a lot of the work of the .NET Core CLR. And the other way too. So there's a lot of love goes both way in it. And the idea is to bring them closer together But there are still pieces of Mono that will still be used sort of here and here based on the platform that it's on. But for the core platform, just sort of .NET going forward there. So many questions.
Perfect. Yeah. We are supposed to be in a break, but I think it's good that there's so many questions. We don't get enough of you. So, so there you go. Do Xamarin have any plan to support web development?
Yeah, check this out. Not Xamarin necessarily. I guess I have to open a new tab here. Check this out. I do Blazor mobile bindings. This is neato. Actually, no, let me go to dev blogs and then ASP.NET, because there was a new blog that came out here. So these Blazor mobile bindings, these are really neat. Alon from the ASP.NET and Xamarin team and Blazor team has been working on sort of bringing Blazor and Razor to mobile. This is really neat. He just put out this blog post of how you can mix and match native and web UI together. And this is sort of a first-class supported scenario for .NET MAUI. So we're working extremely close with Blazor to do that. Now, as far as bringing sort of .NET MAUI or Xamarin Forms to the web, we don't necessarily have any plans currently. I don't think, not to say that it'll never happen, but I think with the combination of Blazor and some also third parties that are doing that, it's a little bit tricky. But we want to make sure that, hey, if you're already building a Blazor application or a web app, you can sort of easily do that over on mobile as well. So this is a great blog.
Okay, the questions keeps coming. So, will MAUI be compatible with Tizen?
Yep. Yeah, the Samsung team supports support for Tizen. And when you go to the .NET, this one here, you can see it here. So you can see Linux supported by community, Mac OS by Microsoft, Tizen by Samsung. Windows will have WinUI 3, which is UWP by Microsoft, WPF by community. And then here you can see app models will be MVU, MVV, Blazor, and reactive extensions. So it's a great repo to go look at.
Cool. So I'm going to stop with questions. Probably you can go and answer some of that on YouTube directly.
Sure.
I'll just bring in Swami and Durgesh to the stream. So if they have any other questions, of course, they are the community people, so they can help with the questions as well. Yeah, anything else you want to communicate? Go ahead, Durgesh and Swami.
I don't have any questions, but it was an extraordinary presentation, James, as usual. You rocked the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, we hope to see you coming more in the future events too. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I think a lot of questions for James for today. And let's, I think, probably re-welcome James in his own tone, right? Like, I am a fan of like Xamarin show, and usually hope you're all excited to meet James here. That's the community contribution we would expect from everyone. Hope it's a tiresome day for you and the app which you're working on for the back pain, right? Currently hope this is helpful for everyone. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I super appreciate it. I'll hang out for just a little bit in the chat and try to answer a few more questions. But thanks everyone. Have an amazing .NET Dev Summit. I can't wait to go rewatch. I'm gonna be in bed pretty soon. As you can see, like I'm starting. It's a little hot in here. I have all these lights on. Like if I don't have my lights on, check this out. It gets so dark. So I have like these. So getting there. Just like Nish has those lights on too. So, but I appreciate it. Have an amazing Dev Summit, and thanks everyone for the awesome questions. And if you have anything, feel free to hit me up on Twitter at James Montemagno. It's right there.
Yep.
Perfect.
Cool. Cheers. Bye.